Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Note the Past. For those of you who have had a chance to take a look at my previous podcasts, you'll know that music has played a significant role in our family. We introduced our daughters to the music of the 60s and early 70s that we love so much. And we thought it was only right to introduce and educate our grandchildren, particularly the oldest seven grandchildren, around that music that we love so much. So, about 4 or 5 years ago, Cindy and I thought, geez, why don't we do this by creating some music fests? And we started in 2020 during COVID and introduced the music of Neil Young. And we called it Neil Fest. For those of you that know me, Neil is obviously my favorite artist who I've followed for, I don't know, 40 or 50 years. And it was such a great session that we decided let's continue. And we followed that up last year with Beatles Fest. And again, worked out extremely well for our seven oldest grandchildren that just last month we put on Bruce Fest, chronicling the music of Bruce Springsteen. Now, in each case, what we did was we went on the internet and found about, I don't know, 50 videos or so, and these all had to be live performances. And we cut it down to about 10 or 12. And we gave a binder with a rating sheet and the lyrics for all of the songs. And we played each video. And after each song, we stopped and had the kids talk about what they thought about the song, the lyrics, the music, and actually rate each one. And at the end, they rated and came up with their favorite song of Neil's, of the Beatles, and of Bruce. We started each fest with a trip down memory lane in a makeshift museum that we'd put together in our home, and took a look at artifacts and publicity and other publications around Neil, the Beatles, and Bruce that we'd collected over the years to give them a sort of deeper sense for what that music was like and what impact it had on Cindy and me and our four girls as they were growing up listening to this wonderful music. So we chronicled this in some very short videos that I've spliced together. It's probably about 11 minutes long. 5 minutes on Neil, and three or so on both the Beatles and Bruce. So I hope you take a look because it'll give you sort of a peek into what it's like to introduce the next generation to this music that we love so much. Thanks for watching. It's May 17, 2020. In about 45 minutes, my oldest grandkids are coming over for our first Neil Fest. They'll be sitting in this room. We'll be telling stories and watching Neil Young videos on this screen. And then we'll take them into the museum that we've put together for this occasion. A lot of wonderful artifacts. So let me be your docent for a few minutes and give you a guided tour. It begins with Neil's very first album, Neil Young. And what's unique about this album is that across the top, if you were to buy it, it would say Neil Young, but I got a copy of an early release. It's very rare, this album. Then we move on to some of your favorites you remember well. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere. After the Gold Rush, and in fact, on this album, After the Gold Rush, I have, it was given to me, you're not going to believe this, a certificate of authenticity of Neil actually signing this one. Harvest, this is really the album that put Neil on the map. Great photo of him on the inside taken through a brass doorknob. You all remember these albums. Zuma, Tonight's the Night, one of my favorites. Live Rust, through Greendale, and then certainly Neil Young Archives. Back in about 1973, or actually 71 in Davis, I started to write a book about Neil. You have to have the obligatory bootleg, and there it is. And here are a couple of autographs. In fact, my darling sister-in-law, Teresa, when she was working at Baby Mart, and Neil had his second baby, they went shopping there, and Teresa got his autograph. Then we come around here, and you'll see Neil's biography, Shaky. That's his pseudonym that he uses for his movies. Wonderful night where we got to actually work with Danny Sullivan in hosting all of the beverages for the Neil Young concert that night. This is something that's unique. You'll see this album, actually it's just my favorite album, I'm jumping around, sorry, called On the Beach. It's a wonderful album. You can see Neil is facing the ocean. I was able to pick up this poster, very rare, on the beach, but in this case you can see Neil is actually facing us. So, very unique. My dear friends, Lyndon and Rusty Hurd, got me this wonderful photo of Neil. Back, I can't read the year, but it's, I think, 89. It's a great photo which we framed. And then you see the bands, some of the bands that Neil's been with, starting with Buffalo Springfield, then Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. He even went out for a while with Stephen Stills on the Stills Young Band. You can see Neil's been in the press quite a bit. It's just a sampling. This is one of his early Rolling Stone magazines, where in 79, I think it was still a paper magazine, but I'm not going to talk about every one of these. This, though, is kind of interesting. In 2011, he was rated as one of the top 100 guitar players by Rolling Stone. Quite an achievement. And then you're all familiar with the Bridge School concerts that he and his former wife, rest in peace, Peggy Young, put on for severely handicapped kids. And again, more wonderful accolades and publications about Neil. So we're going to begin here with the kids in about 40 minutes. Wish you were here. Okay, it is March 30th, 2023. Beatles Fest is going to start in about an hour, so let's give you a little preview of the Beatles Museum. We're starting here with their catalog of albums in order. And you can see that this album with the Beatles that we were all introduced to was a UK version that was subsequently released in the US as Meet the Beatles. And then we just move on through the Beatles collection of wonderful, inventive albums. Ending with my favorite, we're not ending, but my favorite, Abbey Road. Speaking of Abbey Road, this is me crossing Abbey Road in London back in 2012. It was pouring rain. Let It Be, wonderful album. And The Past Masters. A great article or paper that I helped Shani in grade school. This book on the Beatles is phenomenal. Several books that I have and collected. Little memorabilia over here. You see Love Me Do, the Beatles' first hit. Not number one, but first hit. Poster. movies, Zippo lighters, and then a catalog of media and entertainment on the Beatles. Mostly from Rolling Stone magazine, but you've got Newsweek in here, Life, Time magazine, early arch rivals, Keith Richards and Paul McCartney. Wonderful photo of George Harrison, the Beatles anthology that we loved on ABC, and Trivial Pursuit, which we all should play sometime. Kids are going to show up in about an hour. You can see we've darkened the room here so that there'll be no glare on the wonderful videos that are going to regale the Beatles' history and such incredibly fond memories. Wish you all were here. Today is July 13th, 2024, and we're celebrating Bruce Fest, the third in a series of educational experiences for our oldest grandchildren in introducing them to the music that Cindy and I and our girls have loved over the past 30 or 40 years. We start with a little museum as a tribute to Bruce and his brilliant career. Some books on his stories with photographs, lyrics, mentions of his band, a few of the albums in Rolling Stone magazines. Here's a CD that Annie made for me for one of my birthdays. By the way, she also did the Bruce Fest poster for our get-together today. And one of the ticket stubs from a Bruce Springsteen concert that we attended. Probably my favorite album, Darkness on the Edge of Town, and an interview with Bruce in Rolling Stone magazine. Then we swing over and take a look at today's program, which is 12 videos of live performances of the songs that we narrowed down from a list of about 50. Very difficult to do. We're providing a binder to them with each of the lyrics so that they can read his poetry as they're also viewing his performance. And then, of course, as we've done with Neil Fest and Beatles Fest, we have a little quiz where they rate all 12 songs and comment, and we'll stop after each song and talk about them. And then their favorite song at the end with some comments. This all begins with a tri-tip lunch. We're starting at noon, about an hour from now. It's gonna be great. Okay, now we're moving into the theater for Bruce Fest. And you can see all of our grandchildren with their binders and their pencils. Make a quick introduction.
I'm Jolie, I'm 24.
I'm Rory and I'm 22. I'm Marco and I'm 20.
I'm Grace and I'm 21.
I'm Francie.
Oh, sorry, Francie, go ahead.
I'm Francie and I'm 15.
I'm Truman and I'm 17.
I'm Shawnee and I'm 18.
And here's my wife, Cindy.
I'm Cindy and I'm 73.
And I'm Chris, and I'm 74. Let's go.